Hello BookTube! I'm here today with a book review for Science Preceding the End of the World by Yuri Hurrera. Now, this is a book that is about a young Mexican woman's journey across the United States-Mexican border and her journey to find her brother. Now, Yuri Hurrera is one of Mexico's finest and most well-renowned contemporary authors, and I decided to read this book when I heard about his newest release, which is called Kingdom Cons, and that is supposed to be released this summer. It actually just came out about a week ago, I believe, and I was so excited to read that book, but couldn't get my hands on it, so I decided to start reading some of his older works to get a taste for his writing style and the themes that he dealt with. Now, Science Preceding the Ends of the World deals with a young woman who crosses the border, the United States and Mexican border, to find her brother. She comes from a small village where she is the switchboard operator, and she speaks three languages, which is one which is English or Anglo, the second which is Spanish, and the third is her indigenous language. Now, her name is Makana, and she deals with a lot of horrifying and brutal acts throughout the course of this book. Now, again, this is a very tiny novel. It's about 120 pages, but don't be deceived into thinking that it's a light read or it's an easy read or that it's something that can be easily unpacked. This is a book that I feel like I am not smart enough to understand. Someone could probably easily write an entire thesis based off of this book alone or upon all of his works in total. The book is based upon indigenous Mexican myths of particularly relating to the afterlife and to regeneration. And because that's not something that I'm familiar with, it was hard for me to understand the full literary impact of this novel. But I did do a little bit of research, and so I believe I can at least get a tip of the iceberg into of understanding. So the main theme of this book is or at least what I believe the main theme of this book is the metaphor of the metaphor for immigration, legal or illegal, and that metaphor is death and rebirth. Now, the book first opens with Makina's thoughts, and she is saying, "I'm dead." It's the first thought and the first line of the novel, and this entire work is there's no quotation marks. It's like a dark dream. Some people have said it has a fairy tale-like quality, but I don't really like that particular explanation. If I had to go with fairy tale, I would say something based on the earlier Brothers Grimm's or something. Just like a fairy tale or just like a dream, there are the characters are quite shallow, and I don't say that as negative. I say that just as an attribute. They are not particularly complex, and we don't know a ton of their backstory, but they are superficial and live in the moment, and the plot is very linear. We go from one thing to the next, and we experience each action as it happens. It's not necessarily foreshadowed, it's not, but much similar as it would be in a dream. And the themes of this book are rooted in the myths, the indigenous myths of the underworld. The Makina goes on an almost sort of Greek mythological quest, similar to Odysseus, to find her brother in the same way that Odysseus wants to find his home. And she and in the little bit of research that I did on this novel, there's apparently the the myths of death in that culture are all about taking the protagonist from uncertainty to certainty, and from slowly descending the layers of the living. At one point, when she is crossing the border, in the desert, she sees a woman lying by the side of the road, and she is pregnant. And as she draws closer and closer, she sees that it is actually a corpse, and it is a man who has been dead for so long and rotting in the heat that his entire body has swelled enormously. And it's just such a powerful metaphor for how, out of the possibility for new life and rebirth, there is actually death, and just death and trauma. Now, when she is in the north and she finds her brother, she has found that her brother has had to forsake his identity in order to survive in America. And she learns herself that she has to forgo her culture, and she has to learn another language and be in an entirely new world, and that is a death of its own. And she and that's what I thought the entire novel was about. And I may have gotten something wrong. I'm not entirely sure. Again, I'm not sure I quite got this book in the way that I was supposed to. I really had to reflect upon it for quite a period of time, and I looked up reviews on the book and some analysis, and I didn't find a whole lot. And so if anyone has any further commentary, be sure to leave it down in the comments, because I would love to hear your thoughts on it. And this is just addressing it from a literary standpoint, and not even from a political or a current events standpoint, because that is definitely that is definitely a can of worms as well. There is so much relevancy there, but I just wanted to address it from a literary standpoint. But while we are on the topic of historical relevancy and everything, I wanted to address one quote, though, even though the point of this video wasn't supposed to be about this, and it was something that I thought was incredibly powerful. And this isn't the book, by the way, this is just my notebook. They want to live forever, but still can't see that for that to work, they need to change color and number, but it's already happening. I think that speaks for itself.